What's up guys, edrone here, and today we're going to be doing the maiden flight of the Wizard X220HV. Stay tuned. Alright, we got some wind out here, so we're going to be flying in this nice open field, so if something bad happens, it's going to land in the field. We're going to be running the first pack on 4S, line of sight, then we'll switch around, do some FPV and acro, and then we're going to switch over to 6S, line of sight, and then we'll do 6S FPV. So we're going to be doing 4 different flights. You're going to see it first. So, got the transmitter on. Actually, I have my goggles turned on recording as well, just in case the quad decides to take off and go somewhere far. We'll at least know where we're at. So, go ahead and plug in the quadcopter here. Okay, so from the factory, the props
0 volt.
Yeah, the props are not going to spin when you let off the throttle. See that? Wow. Okay, so we got a little bit of a drift to the right there. Just need the accelerometer calibrated. See how it's kind of drifting off to the right there. But we are flying. We are airborne. 4S. Definitely got some calibration with the accelerometer. Need some calibration. Let me go ahead and get that calibrated. Okay, much leveler. Of course, the wind's pushing it. See that? The wind's pushing it to the left. This is 4S, angle mode, very windy. Wow, nice punch there. Nice punch. Very nice. Ready? Full throttle. Oh yeah. Very floaty in the air too. Feels good on 4S actually. Very good line of sight. So full throttle punch. Oh yeah. Feels very good. Very good. Even the rates kind of feel not that bad, line of sight. Okay, definitely got some wind out here, guys. Keep that in mind. It's very windy. Quadcopter is definitely struggling here to keep herself. But definitely full throttle on 4S. Oh yeah. Probably not the best day, but it's the day I got, so we're gonna roll with it. Now let's go ahead and do some FPV flying on 4S. And unfortunately, the 4S FPV footage acro was corrupted. So, but not to worry, I have got the full 6S FPV acro flight in this video coming up. And we're going to go ahead and roll the line of sight footage 6S, and then we'll go into the FPV acro 6S. Just real quick, I want to show you here on the camera. You see we have the Foxeer layout here with the timer. We have the voltage and the Foxeer logo. And of course we have the Betaflight warning label there saying battery's not full. That's the way it was set up from the factory. The only thing I changed was I added the Wizard craft name to the OSD, which you'll see in the FPV flight on 6S. And I went ahead and changed the VTX Smart Audio to Race Band 1, because that's what I set all my quads to. And I changed the power from the 25 milliwatt to the 200 milliwatt. Let's go ahead and roll the 6S line of sight footage right now. We are back again with the Wizard HV with a 6S pack this time. 1000 milliamp, 100C Mini Star from CNHL. And this thing like barely fits on the frame. It's just stinking huge. So everything's stock. This is a stock flight. Now, I'm a little nervous. The 4S flight, line of sight went okay. No problems, no issues. Now we're going to do the 6S line of sight flight. And this is where I'm definitely nervous, and I'm kind of expecting something bad to happen. That's why we're going to fly out here in this field. So in the event something does happen, it's just going to land in the field. No harm, no foul. So here goes nothing, guys. Like my friend said, it's either going to power up or it's going to catch fire. That's 6S for you. Woo! Okay, no fire. We have 6S LiPo plugged in here. Oh man, I'm really nervous about this. Let me just pull this over here some more. There we go. All right, guys, wish me luck. Here we go. Everything is stock on the Wizard, so I'm going to leave it in angle mode.
Motors armed.
Okay, so when you arm the motors with the stock Wizard, they do not spin. They only spin when you start to give it throttle. See that? All right, here we go. Okay, hover. Hover's good. Now for the punch test. Wow, okay. Wow, I'm surprised. It punched and it did not crash. But see, when you let down on the throttle, when you let off the throttle, the props will stop. So we have to change that in the settings. But wow, okay, well, so I must have got a good one. Well, thank goodness for that. Wow, it is very responsive. Okay, so air mode is turned off and motor stop is turned on, so the motors will not spin when it is armed, and when you let off the throttle, the props do stop. See that? So definitely wouldn't recommend these settings for any kind of FPV flying acro. But yeah, when I let off the throttle, watch, the props just completely stop. So we'll change that before we do our FPV flight. But let's do one more little punch on 6S here. Wow. And it's okay. Very surprised. Go ahead and bring it in for landing. Wow. The Wizard X220 has ran on 6S and it did not do the roll of death on the line of sight flight. Now let's go ahead and change some of the settings in beta flight. I'll show you, and then we'll go ahead and do a FPV flight with 6S. Okay, here in the beta flight configurator. Now we need to make some changes if we're going to fly FPV acro, and I'm going to tell you why. So come down to the configuration tab here. Okay, the motor idle throttle value, definitely want to turn that up some. So I'm going to turn it up to 5. Motor stop, we're going to turn this off because we want the motors to spin when the quadcopter is armed. Otherwise, when we chop the throttle to do maneuvers, the motors are going to stop spinning, so you'll lose control. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. We're at 5% for our motor idle throttle value. And I also want to change a couple other things. Actually, one other thing. Down here, we're going to permanently enable air mode. This is going to make it better for acro flying, especially FPV. Yeah, definitely want to have air mode permanently turned on. So we have that turned on now. And I think that's going to do it. We should be good to go ahead and do a FPV flight. Hopefully these changes don't affect the quadcopter in any way. It's going to cause it to do any rolls, death rolls. But if it does, I can always change this value back and turn the settings back and try and see if that does anything. So we're going to hit save and reboot. Okay, we're going to just confirm our settings. Okay, motor stop is turned off, 5% motor throttle value, and let's see if our air mode is permanently enabled. And it is. Go ahead and disconnect. On board the Wizard X220HV, we are in acro mode. And go ahead and give a punch out and a couple rolls just to make sure everything seems okay. And it is handling very well. I will say that the 6S feels very responsive. If I had to describe what it's like to fly 6S versus 4S, it just feels very responsive. You don't have to really give it much throttle, and it really just takes off. If I had one recommendation, I would say this is without a GoPro, so I don't have the extra weight of my GoPro. So if you're going to fly this without a GoPro, you might want to lower the idle speed from the 5 that I set it to maybe down to like 4, maybe even 3.5. Just because it felt like the props were actually spinning a little bit too quickly to where it just felt a little bit too responsive at idle. And you can change that depending on the weight and everything like that. I think if you were flying with a GoPro, you have extra weight, so it might not feel quite as responsive with the 5% throttle. But yeah, I was super impressed. Even the rates, the stock rates actually feel pretty good. I'm going to put my rates in, obviously, but they do feel, pretty smooth and very locked in. And even look at the video quality, even the noise. I wasn't really getting much noise either. So, yeah, I'm very impressed with the Wizard and the kind of performance that I was getting. Now, the one thing I will say, I was noticing a little bit more breakup in my FPV feed than with my other quads on 200 milliwatts. So if I had to say anything, you might want to bump it up a little bit higher than 200 milliwatt, just because this particular VTX might not be outputting 200 milliwatt exactly. It might be under. So yeah, if you're gonna be flying around trees and stuff and you want better video feed, go ahead and bump that up to maybe 600 milliwatt or 400 milliwatt. Try that out. But yeah, all in all, if I had to say off of my experience, would I recommend the Wizard X220HV? Absolutely. I don't know if maybe because I got this a little bit later than others that have done videos, if maybe they fixed some of these issues that a lot of people were having, but I didn't have not one issue with the Wizard in 6S or 4S with any kind of rolls of death or desyncing. Now, I'm not flying it hardcore either, so, stay tuned. I'll try to make sure I kind of fly it a little bit harder, but yeah, I mean, I did some rolls, did some spins, did some acro flying, did some punch outs, and I didn't have any issues. So, one other thing, just make sure that when you're flying this, that you just keep in mind that a 6S pack, you're not going to feel the sag that you feel in a 4S. So, just keep an eye on your voltage, and I'm going to set up all kinds of Betaflight settings for the OSD, and we're going to do that in another video. I'll show you how to go ahead and set up the Betaflight OSD and get rid of the camera OSD, because I feel like the Betaflight OSD is definitely better. But yeah, I definitely recommend, from my experience, the Wizard X220. I mean, there's hardly even any noise in the video. It was just a phenomenal experience and a surprising one. So if you haven't gotten your Wizard X220 yet, that might be a good thing, because I think Eachine is trying to fix some of these issues that others were complaining about. So yeah, stay tuned to the channel for more Wizard X220HV videos. And I thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, edrone out.